Hello again, this is Rajiv Shah, and we are going to be working on business capabilities and IT technical services. The outcome from today's lesson or today's session will be canvases that express business capabilities and a canvas that will show us how a technical service can be played out. To start with, let's look at the canvases that we are actually going to build before we start work on them. This is the value stream canvas. It represents how an organization configures its business capabilities to deliver value to internal or external stakeholders, typically a customer. A value stream is all about understanding where we can bring in efficiency, where we can reduce time, where we can reduce wastage, and how can we make the process leaner. In some sense, it is similar to a flowchart, but it is more about modeling an entire business process. This is a capability card. Using it, we can describe a specific capability in great detail. As you can see, there are different aspects of a capability that we talked about through this card, which includes not just the people, process, and technology that goes to delivering this capability, but also aspects like the maturity and its performance. Now let's look to identify what in our business we want to work on to improve, mature, so we can create more value for our client and of course us. To do that, we will start here with the BMC or the business model canvas that we created earlier. It shows us what is value, how is it created, and for whom is it created. Using the BMC, we will identify an area we want to focus on. As you can see, there are several ways customer relationships can be maintained and improved. The one we will focus on is the loyalty program. What we want to do is create it and, most important, make it available for our customers and make it available using a mobile app, especially for our grab and go customers. To do this, we will first identify the business capabilities necessary to deliver a loyalty program. When I say business capabilities, I mean business operations, business muscle that will be required to deliver this entire service or functionality called a loyalty program. There are several ways that can be done. I'm going to show you how I would normally work this one. To do this, I first go about building a capability model. I normally use models from an organization called APQC because I don't want to build them from scratch. However, if the APQC model doesn't satisfy me, I also look at models from other organizations like a Gartner or a Forrester to fill in possible gaps. The result is a capability model like you see here. In this capability model, I have detailed out 4 levels, starting with the base, that is manage customer service, and moving down to level 4, which are the activities that each of the level 3 capability or capabilities will play out. Then I get into a workshop with the stakeholders to understand how they see managed customer loyalty programs actually being played out in the business or by the business. This is a free flowing brainstorming discussion or session that results in a common understanding of what we want the customer loyalty program to be about and what we want it to do. I record all these ideas and post the session. I map these ideas to the capability model to determine what needs to be added, modified, or deleted. I then go back to into another meeting with the same stakeholders where I socialize this model, taking great pains to explain, taking great pains to explain what I have done. In fact, I normally run a capability training workshop before I show them the model. This model then becomes our common understanding of what the customer loyalty program, in this case, needs to be about and what it needs to do. Next, using this, I will go deeper to understand how this loyalty program will be delivered. And when I say how, I'm talking about the people, process, and technology that will come to play. While there will be many technical scenarios that need to be developed to manage customer loyalty programs, or that will be delivered to our customers through this program or through these programs, the one I want to currently pick up and focus on is place and order scenario, or a place and order activity that the customer would perform. And to deliver on, we would need to then bring in these capabilities into play. Here you see an example of the value services capability. In this case, the value service of course is place an order, whereby a customer can place an order for a cup of coffee or whatever else. For this service to be delivered, you can see these are the capabilities that will come to play or come into play, starting with managed customer service, moving down to the actual capability, which is enable the customer experience, and within that, a specific activity called place an order. Within this place and order, there will be certain tasks that will be performed by different stakeholders using different technology. And this third row gives us a sense of the opportunities we have for enabling this specific service called place and order. So let's run through this. So a customer, we are going to assume he's already downloaded the app on his mobile. He opens the app. He then looks up and selects an option. This this choice that he made is automatically assigned to the loyalty program that he's a member of. Once that is done, he's asked to make a payment for this specific choice or selection. Once that happens, an order number is displayed with which he can go to the barista, to the counter, to the point of sale counter to get his coffee. But in a sense, this is what place an order does. Who is it done by? The open app is done by the customer. The lookup and select is done by the customer. The assign is done automatically, uh, basically using a cloud-based application. The payment is done by the customer using a gateway, and generate and display an order number is also done automatically by a cloud-based application. So here you see the various applications that come to play. And in this last are opportunities for us to actually deliver technical services for this specific value service, or one could even say to deliver on this specific capability. This is the second of the capability canvases. This allows us or enables us to elaborate on a specific capability from different perspectives. So here you can see we've taken the place and order capability. We've identified what we wanted to deliver or what is the outcome we want it to be able to deliver. The business service is, in this case, goes by the same name, which is place and order. How are we going to judge or evaluate the efficacy of this specific business service? By the number of orders placed using this mobile app and the orders delivered within a specific time frame that have come over the mobile app. Who are the people, process, and technology that are going to come to bear? The people is the barista back office manager. The process is the order placement, order confirmation, and order preparation. And the technology is the mobile app and the cloud solution. Now, we also have the ability to decide what is the current level of performance, maturity, and what part of our strategy it is aligned to. So here you can see, well, we don't really have this capability yet. So technically speaking, the performance at this point would not really exist, but we could identify the level of performance we want for this specific capability. We would also identify the level of maturity. Again, because the capability doesn't already exist, we would identify the level of maturity that we expect from this capability. And lastly, of course, what of our strategy is this capability going to be aligned to and help to realize? Here is another capability that I have elaborated on using the same capability card that we saw on the previous screen. Specific capability here is perform program analytics. It of course has its own outcome. The business service in this case is differently named. It is called determine program value. And by program value, we are talking about a loyalty program's value in terms of the number of people who've signed up for that program, the number of transactions that are being done through that program or that are in some sense aligned to that program, and then finally the spend, the amount of money that is being generated as revenue through each of these different programs. Who is going to be looking after it in terms of the person or the team? It'll be the marketing manager. What's he going to be doing with this? Once he does a perform program in analytics, he's going to be able to see it on the screen, print out reports, email reports, and of course, the technology behind the scenes that's going to support this capability or to perform this specific business service is a mobile app or a desktop app or a tablet app, and in the background is the loyalty BI solution. Similarly, from a performance, maturity, and strategy point of view, since we don't really have this capability, what we can determine is the level of performance and maturity we expect from it. And from a strategy perspective, we can define whether this specific capability or the specific business service is going to in some way impact our cost strategy or our revenue strategy or whatever else it may be impacting. We're now going to change perspective a little. We're going to assume that this capability, that is, plan and manage customer loyalty programs, already exists. That we are delivering the service or the services related to this capability, both to our external client and to our internal users. Our next step is to think in terms of, okay, what do we need to improve? What should we focus on if we want this complete capability called plan and manage customer loyalty programs to be even more efficient or and effective. There are two basic steps. The first step is to identify which of these many capabilities really needs to be focused on to create more value for both our customers and in this case us too. To do that, there are two steps. The first step is really about looking at each capability and evaluating it from a performance and a value perspective and creating a heat map using those two parameters. That's normally my first step. So you take a capability, any capability that you see here, for example, on the screen, although this entire model is of something else, is just to give you an example or an understanding. So you take any capability and you evaluate how is this capability performing. You could use three fundamental parameters. Is it low, as in not performing well? Is it okay, average performance, or is it high performance? And the second parameter you could use against that is what's the value it creates for our client or customer and us. And again, you could use high, medium, and low. So if a capability creates high value or creates a lot of value, that's high, average value medium, and low value is L or low. Now that you've got performance and value defined for a capability or for all the capabilities, you can quickly decide where you are going to focus your limited resources on or in so that you can make the entire functionality or this entire program more effective. The most straightforward thing is look for those that are of high value but not performing either, not performing well or average in performance. So those would be probably the first that you may want to go after. Or you could say, I want to look at all those that are performing very poorly, even as long as their value is high and medium, or the value they deliver is high or medium, I'm going to go after improving those specific capabilities. So in this way, using different parameters, you can home in on which capabilities you want to improve and how to prioritize them. So now you have identified those capabilities that are performing poorly or average, but are creating high value or are going to create high value for our customers. Next, what do? You find out where on a maturity model they stand. Are they initial, basic, intermediate, advanced, and optimizing? And then you can decide where you want to move them from wherever they currently are. So for example, if a specific capability which is performing poorly but is supposed to create great value is on basic, you may decide to move it to intermediate, advanced, or optimizing. A word of caution though, you really can't move it from basic to optimizing rapidly. My suggestion would be to take it in steps. So first, either move it to intermediate or at least move some parts to intermediate and some parts to advanced. And then in phase two or release two, you can further move it up to, some in advanced and some in optimizing. So using the first heat map, we identified which capabilities to go after, which capabilities to prioritize for improving. Using the maturity model, we could then identify of those capabilities that we want to go after to improve, what level of maturity do we want to bring to each of them. That same heat map can then be, or that same maturity model can then be used to create a heat map. So we get a pictorial perspective of not just the performance and value, but also now from a maturity point of view, the current status and the future status that we want to take it to. With that, we've come to a good understanding of how to build, at least I hope we've come to a good understanding of how to build out a capability model, how to use it to prioritize what we want to improve so we can create more value for our customers. Let's move on to services. Now let's define a service. This is a service blueprint canvas. It helps us to articulate or express a service, the scenarios, and there could be many scenarios that are fulfilled through the service, and specific outcomes that are expected with the service being successfully played out. Here you see the how does the customer or your client access the service through online or offline means. Once he accesses the service, let's say through a kiosk or through his phone app or through a computer screen, or even vis-a-vis another human being, like if you went to a bank and you were talking to a teller, what are the actions that the customer takes over the lifespan of this service? As he engages in those actions, what are the corresponding actions that may be taken by us or by the organization? That's the front stage action. So it's almost like a handshake between the customer action and our reciprocal action. To support our reciprocal action, there could be some backstage action, something that happens behind the scenes. And whatever happens across this and maybe behind the scenes is supported by business capabilities or processes and systems. And that's really what we are going to see through the next canvas. So let's build out an actual service using the service blueprint canvas. The service is a coffee shop point of sale solution. The scenario that we want to focus on is for the customer to be able to order and pay for a coffee. Now he can do it either using a mobile or come to the barista in person. Either way, those two become the touch points to initiate the service. The customer's actions at that point are to place the order, wait in queue, and then make a payment. That's the front stage action from a customer perspective. The organization would, of course, do something like greeting the customer if he's come to the barista and is in front of the counter, then take his order and his payment. So that's one handshake that's done. Then in the back end, or they would start building out the order, preparing whatever the customer may have ordered. And to do that, they will use whatever specific processes and systems that have been given for this very purpose. And here you can see how the entire service, step by step, is being defined, is being engaged with by the organization or the barista, is being supported by backstage actions from the people who may be making the coffee, etc. And they in turn are being supported by systems and processes that enable efficiency and effectiveness in delivery. So this ends our lesson on services and business capabilities architecture. Thank you and see you soon.